what is Hedron? Like, what can you tell us about it?
Yep. So it's actually like a couple smart contracts in a I think there's 3 of them technically, but really all it is there's the first part is something called hex staking instances. And I'll give you an analogy. It's kind of like there's a jar, like a glass jar. Sorry, my dog is playing with his toy, so if it's a little background noise.
The dog's in the data center. We get it.
Yeah. He's throwing around the power cables. Yep. So basically, you can imagine like you know how you can take a hex stake today. You just go.hex.com and you can take some hex and you lock it up in the future 5555. This is similar, but what it is you take your hex and you put it in a little jar, and then you can lock it up 5555 or however long you want. It could be less. And then you have it's like hex stake in a jar. And then what you can do with this jar is the jar you can turn into an NFT, and then it becomes tradable. So then I could send the jar, I can send you my hex stake, and now it's in your MetaMask wallet. And then you can go and you can open the jar, and now it's yours in your wallet. So
this really kind of solved the problem, because so you could make a stake on a MetaMask account with a private key, and then sell it to someone, however you want, and then they'll have it. But this is like, instead of doing that, like that's like, a whole bunch of moving parts. Instead of doing that, you put it in this jar, you basically make an NFT, and then you trade it like you would any other NFT or tokens.
Yep, pretty much. Yep. Very cool. So now with that technology, with these HSIs, now you can transfer a hex stake from one wallet to another. It doesn't but that's it for that part, right? That's all it does. So the stake is locked. That's in for the 5555. You could emergency unstake it if you wanted and face the penalty, but even if I trade it to you, now you just own the hex stake. So because there was some people were talking about how they thought it was going to be pretty bearish for the price, and I think it was kind of bullish, because I think it just took a bunch of hex off the market. It put them in the people made more stakes because of it. So I think it was cool and fine. So that's one. So that's like the main function of Hedron. Then there's also the coin itself. So Hedron is an ERC20 token, and you can get these tokens every day for free for how many T shares you have. So, and it's actually based on your B shares. For every 1 B share, which is 1,000th of a T share, for every one of those you have, you get 1 Hedron every day, and you can go and you can mint them, and then it gives you your Hedron, and that's cool. So that's how you can mine it. And then this is where it gets advanced. This is like where it gets into, advanced users only, and you could do some damage here.
Warning, with Galaxy brains.
Yeah. This is like where it's like, all right, you got to be careful here. So what you can do is with those hex jars, with your stake locked up in there, you can pre-mint or pre-mine all of your Hedron, and it'll give it to you now as a loan. So you're basically, if you, instead of waiting the 555, it's like, I'll have all my Hedron now. And then you have to pay it back monthly. You have to pay back your loan because you borrowed it ahead of time. So here's what happens. If you don't pay your loan, if you don't pay back the Hedron every 30 days, if you're delinquent for 3 months, what happens is your jar with all that hex that you had inside of it, that gets taken away from you and sent to the auction house. And then other people can bid on those jars using Hedron. So theoretically, if you didn't pay your bill and your hex jar got repossessed, some other Hedron whale or anybody who wanted can go to the auction house and start bidding on it, and you might lose your jar. So
interesting.
That's where it gets really advanced, is when do you want to borrow? Then you got to pay it back. You don't want to get liquidated. And then you've got people who are going to be on the auction house trying to snipe bids and buy these jars for hopefully less than what they cost.
Yeah, so you talked about, you were excited about that recently because there were some coming up.
Yeah, there's already a jar like coming up, man. it's like 30 grand worth of hex. And the opening bid is $300 worth of Hedron. That's how low the bidding's going to start. So man, if it's like 2 a.m. on like a Sunday and everybody's sleeping and passed out, you might be able to go on there and snipe a hex stake for a fraction of the cost. It might cost you a couple grand, and you could end up buying a multi-$1,000 hex stake. So it's I'm super bullish on that. Once the auction house opens, I will speculate and predict that the price of Hedron will definitely start to increase because people are going to want it once they realize they can use it at the auction house.
So is that the biggest Pumpamental for Hedron? Is the auction house aspect?
In my opinion, yeah. Because I want to buy those hex jars. I want to buy those because I'm minting my own Hedron every day for all my T shares and B shares. So I've got all this free Hedron. So yeah, I can't wait to spend it at the auction house. And then the winner, whoever wins the jar in the auction house, whatever they spent, all that Hedron that they put in to buy it, that gets burnt and deleted. So if it was a very big, expensive, like $20,000 of Hedron goes into the auction house to win a hex stake, then boom, the Hedron's deleted. So over time, you're going to see Hedron being burnt and burnt and burnt. So that's bullish too.
Wow. Yeah, because there's quite a bit of it. So I guess the more auctions they are, the more is burned.
Yeah.
And the bigger the prices are, the more that's burned.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like combating the bonus rounds, I guess, too, because there's people got in the first week or so, they got a 10x. What the people are getting now are at like a 1x or 2x.
Or that's almost over. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Very interesting. So got a question here.